where innovation is not actually necessarily working in the public benefit and sometimes even undermining the public benefit in pursuit of profit. And the reason why some of his colleagues were concerned about this name was because it pegged the idea of this discipline to recreating human intelligence. And back then, as is true today, we have no scientific consensus around what human intelligence is. There's no definition from psychology, biology, neurology, and in fact, every attempt in history to quantify and rank human intelligence has been driven by nefarious motives. It's been driven by a desire to prove scientifically that certain groups of people are inferior to other groups of people.
Hold on. If the world's leading neuroscientists can't even define what the mind is, how can a 28-year-old software engineer in San Francisco claim to have built a superior one? It's a semantic house of cards.
People are inferior to other groups of people. There are no goalposts for this field, and there are no goalposts for the industry when they say that they are ultimately trying to recreate AI systems that would be as smart as humans. How do we even define what that means? And when are we going to get there if we don't know how to define the destination? And what that effectively means is that these companies can just use the term artificial general intelligence, which is now the term to refer to this ambitious goal to recreate human intelligence.
AGI. Remember that acronym? It's not a scientific goal. It's a magnet for money. It's the digital El Dorado. If you promise the impossible, the investment becomes infinite.
They can use it however they want to, and they can define and redefine it based on what is convenient for them. So in OpenAI's history, it has defined and redefined it many times. When Sam Altman is talking with Congress, AGI is a system that's going to cure cancer, solve climate change, cure poverty. When he's talking with consumers that he's trying to sell his products to, it's the most amazing digital assistant that you're ever going to have. When he was talking with Microsoft, in the deal that OpenAI and Microsoft struck, where Microsoft invested in the company.
Watch the chameleon in action. To the government, he's a climate savior. To shareholders, he's a $100 billion printing press. Sam Altman isn't a technician. He's the best public relations operator capitalism has ever produced.
These companies can just use the term artificial general intelligence, which is now the term to refer to this ambitious goal to recreate human intelligence. They can use it however they want to, and they can define and redefine it based on what is convenient for them. So in OpenAI's history, it has defined and redefined it many times. When Sam Altman is talking with Congress, AGI is a system that's going to cure cancer, solve climate change, cure poverty. When he's talking with consumers that he's trying to sell his products to, it's the most amazing digital assistant that you're ever going to have. When he was talking with Microsoft, in the deal that OpenAI and Microsoft struck, where Microsoft invested in the company, it was defined as a system that will generate $100 billion of revenue. And on OpenAI's own website, they define it as highly autonomous systems that outperform humans in most economically valuable work. This is not a coherent vision of one technology. These are very different definitions that are spoken out loud to the audience that needs to be mobilized to ward off regulation or get more consumer buy-in into the industry's quest, or to get more capital, more resources for continuing on this journey with ambiguous definitions.
There it is, the naked truth. Economically valuable tasks. They don't want to replicate your soul or your consciousness. They want to replicate your productive utility without having to pay your Christmas bonus or health insurance.
Was trying to convince Elon Musk to join him on co-founding OpenAI. And Musk, in particular, was spending all of his time sounding the alarm on what he saw as a huge existential threat that AI could pose. And so in that blog post, if you look at the language that Altman uses side by side with the language that Musk was using at the time, it mirrors all the things that Musk was saying.
It's identical.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years ago, Musk was going on podcasts saying, tweeting, whatever, that the greatest existential risk to humanity was AI.
Yeah. And so, like his parenthetical, there are other things that might actually be more likely to happen, like engineered viruses.
This is pure Machiavelli. Sam Altman wasn't worried about the end of the world. He was worried about how to seduce the biggest check in the room. He used Elon Musk's fear as bait. A mirroring technique worthy of an MI6 agent.
Elon Musk did end up co-founding it with Altman. And certainly from Musk's perspective, he does feel manipulated because he feels like Altman was engineering his language in a way that would make Musk trust him as a partner in this endeavor. And of course, then Musk leaves, and through some of the documents that came out during the lawsuit that Musk and Altman are engaged in now, it has become clear that there was a degree to which Musk was actually muscled out a little bit.
Expelled from his own creation. Imagine Elon Musk's fury. But here's the point. If Sam Altman managed to outmaneuver the man who wants to colonize Mars, what chance do you sitting on your couch have against the terms of service, he writes.
But through my reporting, I discovered that Altman then appealed personally to Greg Brockman, who was a friend of his that they'd known each other for many years through the Silicon Valley scene, and said, don't you think that it would be a little bit dangerous to have Musk be the CEO of this company, this new for-profit entity, because, he's a famous guy. He has a lot of pressures in the world. He could be threatened. He could act erratically. He could be unpredictable.
The classic character assassination. Sam Altman cast Elon Musk as the unstable villain to position himself as the benevolent hero. But look around in 2026. Who actually holds the power to silence researchers now? Hint, it's not the owner of X.
For humans as well. It's not that it's going to actively hate humans or want to harm them, but it's just going to be so powerful. And I think a good analogy would be the way that humans treat animals. It's not that we hate animals. I think humans love animals, and I have a lot of affection for them. But when the time comes to build a highway between two cities, we are not asking the animals for permission. We just do it because it's important to us. And I think by default, that's the kind of relationship that's going to be between us and AI, which are truly autonomous and operating on their own behalf. And that was in 2019, the year that you interviewed him.
This line will echo through history. We didn't ask animals for permission to build the road. Ilya Sutskever isn't being cruel, he's being logical within his own bubble. To them, the road of progress justifies any extinction. The question is, will you keep being the ant that accepts the asphalt, or will you start questioning who's holding the excavator?
And do you know what the common feature of all of them is? They profit enormously off of this myth.
Quick pause. Did you notice the phrase, empires of the past? She's comparing Silicon Valley to the British Empire or the East India Company. They don't create value, they enclose what already exists, your art, your writing, and charge a toll. It's colonialism too, but with lines of code instead of uniforms.
I have all these internal documents showing that they're purposely trying to create that feeling within the public so that they can extract and exploit and extract and exploit.
So what do we do about it?
We need to break up the empires of AI. I've been covering the tech industry for over 8 years. I interviewed over 250 people, including former or current OpenAI employees and executives. And when they talk about that there's going to be some new jobs created that we can't even imagine, a lot of the jobs that are created are way worse than the jobs that were there. And then
Isn't that sadistic? You get fired, and your final act of dignity is teaching the executioner how to replace you more efficiently. In 2026, that career ladder she mentions isn't just broken, it's been incinerated to power the servers of